News on 6 reporter Emery Bryant, who's been driving around the city all morning, checking on conditions. Emery?
Well, it is pretty uncomfortable out here because the wind has picked up in the last hour or so. Now we're getting a little bit of this sleet that's falling, and of course that's when those accidents happened this morning, was when it first started falling. We had this break, and as we were driving around from downtown down south, we went out west out to Sand Springs. Not too much accumulation, but of course those accidents were happening right when this stuff started falling. Now we're getting a little bit more of that. Don't know if that'll lead to more accidents, but on an area here, and we're up on a overpass, you can see this is kind of accumulation that you're seeing. That's real dry, icy stuff, and on the ground here, real slick. This is going to be the most difficult thing to navigate. The roads, this stuff is melted away, a lot of liquid, but on the ground, on any kind of sidewalk, any kind of railing, any kind of area where there's not a lot of traffic, it's still going to be icy. That icy glaze is still here. For the most part, on the highways, you can see cars are moving along pretty good, and there's water out there, and that's not really frozen. Some of it is a little bit icy as you come off a bridge. That seems to be the places that we've seen it. Let's see that car going across there, doing just fine. We've seen a lot of salt and sand trucks out. So ODOT, the City of Tulsa, fully deployed, and these streets have been in pretty good shape that we've seen. The only time we've had any issue going around in our truck, and it's a four-wheel drive, is when you come down to an intersection. Sometimes you'll do some slipping on a little bit of this slush, or maybe even a little bit of the sand that's accumulated. So that's the only problem that we've seen, but of course we're getting a little bit more of this right now. So what happens from here remains to be seen.
I spoke with a spokesperson for the city about an hour ago, and she told me that the city prepared well in advance for today's weather. She told me that around 5 a.m. this morning, the city sanded these roads. She said they sanded all of the arterial roads, and she said this really helped. Now, so far the city says that they've had no major issues this morning. Right now you can see that the traffic is moving just fine. We are experiencing a little bit of sleet and a lot of wind. Like Emery said, it's very windy out here, so really that's what people are going to be dealing with as they walk out the door or head wherever they're going this morning. They're not going to have too many issues here on the road. And of course, the spokesperson for the city says if they do run into any issues throughout the day, they have plenty of sand and salt trucks ready to go.
It is cold out here, and as you can see, snowflakes are coming down. They've been coming down pretty hard on us for about the last 45 minutes or so, and the snow is definitely starting to stick to the ground. And behind me here in the downtown area, you can see the traffic is flowing. This weather really isn't discouraging anyone from getting out. A lot of them seem to be going into different restaurants, making sure they grab some lunch. And take a look at some of this video we shot driving around town today. The main roads have been treated with salt and sand, and they do look pretty good. Snowplows did start treating roads around 7 this morning. Then they took a little break for a few hours when the sleet let up, and now they're back at it again. Now, most of the side streets have not been treated and do have a layer of snow, making them very slippery for drivers. Also, parking lots are covered with snow here in Bartlesville. We have seen people out sweeping and shoveling snow to clear the sidewalks and the parking lots. And back out here live, as we've been driving around town, we haven't seen any accidents yet. I did check in with the police department. They say they haven't had any major accidents because of this weather. We also talked to the public works director here in town. He says that all of these salt and sand trucks will continue to be out all this afternoon. They're monitoring these conditions and keeping a close eye on the roads.
Well, out on 412 it wasn't too bad, but of course that was about 2 hours ago. I'll tell you though, right now on Highway 20, the roads are going down very quickly. Now, you can still see a little bit of pavement, but don't let that be deceiving. That's actually ice. We've got snow coming down here, or I guess I should really say snow pellets, and we've really been keeping an eye on all of the drivers. We've got many who are driving slow, driving with caution. Then we've got others who are just going entirely too fast for these types of conditions. We did also run into a guy who, well, I'm looking right now, there's a couple of snow plows. I don't know if you've got the video on us, but there's a snow plow coming through, so you can see that the roads are being treated here on Highway 20. Back to my story now about the gentleman that we found in the median who had run off the road. We stopped to check to see if he was okay. Luckily, he was just fine. He said he was actually heading back from RSU after classes were canceled, and that's when the roads just played a trick on him.
Prepare for the worst.
What happened?
lost control and spun off to this ditch here.
I'm assuming the ice.
Yeah, I believe so. Ice and the wind.